Prime Minister Narendra Modi addresses the nation in Mann Ki Baat and hails the success of India's vaccine program. Says it displays the capability of the country, manifests the might of our collective endeavor, salutes health workers for their tireless efforts and resolve in the service of humanity through innovation and sheer determination. In Mann Ki Baat, the Prime Minister talks about drone technology, says it's capturing people's imagination because of its diverse utility, praises India for becoming one of the first countries in the world preparing digital land records in villages with the help of drones, says new drone policy has attracted foreign and domestic investors and drone startups. On the occasion of United Nations Day, PM remembers India's historic role in drafting the UN Charter and Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Says women power of India has displayed a larger role in increasing influence and strength of the United Nations. On the second day of his three-day visit to Jammu and Kashmir, Home Minister Amit Shah reviews development projects in Jammu and inaugurates the IIT campus in Jammu today. And in cricket, arch rivals India and Pakistan to clash in the T-20 World Cup in Dubai today. Ahead of the match, Captain Virat Kohli expresses confidence of a good performance. Namaskar and welcome to the news. My name is Mark Lynn. Here's our top story. Prime Minister Narendra Modi in his Mann Ki Baat radio address has highlighted the role of drones, saying that the government has redefined drone technology, not limiting it to army combat. Also along with infrastructure, India is now utilizing this technology for agriculture and COVID vaccination supply.
Modern technology is playing a significant role in ensuring building of a new India. In the series, drones are opening up an array of opportunities for the countrymen. Speaking about this new technology during his Mann Ki Baat address, the Prime Minister said that it is because of the help of drones that India has become one of the first countries in the world which is preparing digital records of lands in its villages. He added that drones are also being helpful in spraying nano-urea in the fields and undertaking COVID vaccine campaign. PM Modi expressed hope that in future, drones will also be helpful in emergency or monitoring law and order and other development-related works.
भारत दुनिया के उन पहले देशों में से है जो ड्रोन की मदद से अपने गांव में जमीन के डिजिटल रिकॉर्ड तैयार कर रहा है। भारत ड्रोन का इस्तेमाल ट्रांसपोर्टेशन के लिए करने पर बहुत व्यापक तरीके से काम कर रहा है, चाहे गांव में खेतीबाड़ी हो या घर पर सामान की डिलीवरी हो, आपातकाल में मदद पहुंचानी हो या कानून व्यवस्था की निगरानी हो। बहुत समय नहीं है जब हम देखेंगे कि ड्रोन हमारी इन सब जरूरतों के लिए तैनात होंगे।
Referring to new drone policy, the Prime Minister said it has been formulated according to the present and future prospects related to drones. He added that this will make lives of citizens hassle-free.
इस साल 25 अगस्त को देश एक नई ड्रोन नीति लेकर आया। ये नीति ड्रोन से जुड़ी वर्तमान और भविष्य की संभावनाओं के हिसाब से बनाई गई है। इसमें अब न बहुत सारे फॉर्म्स के चक्कर में पड़ना होगा, न ही पहले जितनी फीस देनी पड़ेगी। मुझे आपको बताते हुए खुशी हो रही है कि नई ड्रोन पॉलिसी आने के बाद कई ड्रोन स्टार्टअप्स में विदेशी और देशी निवेशकों ने निवेश किया है। कई कंपनियां मैन्युफैक्चरिंग यूनिट्स भी लगा रही हैं। आर्मी, नेवी और एयरफोर्स ने भारतीय ड्रोन कंपनियों को 500 करोड़ रुपए से ज्यादा के ऑर्डर भी दिए।
Highlighting how a young student saves the lives of fishermen with the help of his drone, PM Modi urged the youth of the country to certainly think about taking advantage of the opportunities created after the drone policy and come forward. He assured all possible support from the government. Bureau Report, DD India.
More from the Prime Minister's radio address. Prime Minister Narendra Modi discussed the essential role of women in all walks of life. And on the occasion of United Nations Day, the Prime Minister highlighted the role of Indian women, ranging from the contribution in the United Nations to the army and the police as well. The Prime Minister underlined the work done by India in global interest.
The United Nations Day is being celebrated today, referring to the contribution of Indian women in enhancing its influence since the formation of the United Nations. Prime Minister Narendra Modi said that the women of India have emphasized gender equality in the United Nations from the very beginning. At the same time, the Prime Minister spoke of Vijayalakshmi Pandit being the first woman president of the United Nations General Assembly.
संयुक्त राष्ट्र से जुड़ा एक अनोखा पहलू ये है कि संयुक्त राष्ट्र का प्रभाव और उसकी शक्ति बढ़ाने में भारत की नारी शक्ति ने बड़ी भूमिका निभाई है। 1947-48 में जब यूएन ह्यूमन राइट्स का यूनिवर्सल डिक्लेरेशन तैयार हो रहा था, तो उस डिक्लेरेशन में लिखा जा रहा था ऑल मैन आर क्रिएटेड इक्वल। लेकिन भारत के एक डेलीगेट ने इस पर आपत्ति जताई और फिर यूनिवर्सल डिक्लेरेशन में लिखा गया ऑल ह्यूमन बीइंग्स आर क्रिएटेड इक्वल। ये बात जेंडर इक्वलिटी की भारत की सदियों पुरानी परंपरा के अनुरूप थी। क्या आप जानते हैं कि श्रीमती हंसा मेहता वो डेलीगेट थी जिनकी वजह से ये संभव हो पाया।
India has worked closely with global organizations from time to time to solve the problems of the world. The Prime Minister said that in view of India's initiative, the World Health Organization recently announced the creation of a global center for traditional medicine in India.
भारत ने सदैव विश्व शांति के लिए काम किया है। हमें इस बात का गर्व है कि भारत 1950 के दशक से लगातार संयुक्त राष्ट्र शांति मिशन का हिस्सा रहा है। गरीबी हटाने, क्लाइमेट चेंज और श्रमिकों से संबंधित मुद्दों के समाधान में भी भारत अग्रणी भूमिका निभा रहा है। इसके अलावा योग और आयुष को लोकप्रिय बनाने के लिए भारत WHO यानी वर्ल्ड हेल्थ ऑर्गेनाइजेशन के साथ मिलकर काम कर रहा है।
Referring to the increasing number of women personnel in the police and the army, Prime Minister Modi said that today the daughters of the country are performing every duty with utmost devotion, strength and courage. Not only this, the daughters of the country are engaged in the security services from commandos to serving at sensitive locations.
पहले धारणा बन गई थी कि सेना और पुलिस जैसी सेवा केवल पुरुषों के लिए ही होती है, लेकिन आज ऐसा नहीं है। ब्यूरो ऑफ पुलिस रिसर्च एंड डेवलपमेंट के आंकड़े बताते हैं कि पिछले कुछ वर्षों में महिला पुलिस कर्मियों की संख्या डबल हो गई है, दोगुनी हो गई है।
The Prime Minister urged police women to visit schools in their area and motivate girls that are studying there. At the same time, the Prime Minister expressed hope that a new era in the police service would be ushered in with more and more women joining the police services and with women leading them. Bureau Report, DD India.
United Nations Day is being observed today. It marks the 76th anniversary of the United Nations, when in 1945 the UN Charter came into force. So UN Day is celebrated every year. It's an opportunity to amplify the common agenda and reaffirm the purposes and principles of the UN Charter that have guided nations for the past 76 years. The UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres said the values that have powered the United Nations for the last 76 years, peace, development, human rights and opportunity, all of these have no expiry date.
76 years ago, the United Nations was created as a vehicle of hope for a world emerging from the shadow of a catastrophic conflict. Today, the women and men of the UN carry this hope forward around the globe. COVID-19, conflicts, hunger, poverty and the climate emergency remind us that our world is far from perfect. But they also make clear that solidarity is the only way forward. We need to come together to tackle great challenges and advance the Sustainable Development Goals by ensuring that every person, everywhere, has access to COVID-19 vaccines sooner rather than later. By securing and upholding the rights and dignity of all people, especially the poorest and most disadvantaged, girls and women and children and young people. By seeking an end to the conflicts that scar our world. By making bold climate commitments to save our planet and living up to them. And by building global governance that is more inclusive, networked and effective, as detailed in my recent report, Our Common Agenda.
Well, marking the UN Day, Prime Minister Narendra Modi, in his October edition of Man Ki Baat, recalled India's efforts for world peace and global wellness.
संयुक्त राष्ट्र से जुड़ा एक अनोखा पहलू ये है कि संयुक्त राष्ट्र का प्रभाव और उसकी शक्ति बढ़ाने में भारत की नारी शक्ति ने बड़ी भूमिका निभाई है। 1947-48 में जब यूएन ह्यूमन राइट्स का यूनिवर्सल डिक्लेरेशन तैयार हो रहा था, तो उस डिक्लेरेशन में लिखा जा रहा था ऑल मैन आर क्रिएटेड इक्वल, लेकिन भारत के एक डेलीगेट ने इस पर आपत्ति जताई और फिर यूनिवर्सल डिक्लेरेशन में लिखा गया ऑल ह्यूमन बीइंग्स आर क्रिएटेड इक्वल। ये बात जेंडर इक्वलिटी की भारत की सदियों पुरानी परंपरा के अनुरूप थी। क्या आप जानते हैं कि श्रीमती हंसा मेहता वो डेलीगेट थी जिनकी वजह से ये संभव हो पाया।
Asserting that India always strove for world peace, the Prime Minister said that we are proud of the fact that India has been a part of UN peacekeeping missions continuously since the 1950s. The Prime Minister added that India is also playing a leading role in addressing issues of poverty alleviation, climate change and workers' rights.
भारत ने सदैव विश्व शांति के लिए काम किया है। हमें इस बात का गर्व है कि भारत 1950 के दशक से लगातार संयुक्त राष्ट्र शांति मिशन का हिस्सा रहा है। गरीबी हटाने, क्लाइमेट चेंज और श्रमिकों से संबंधित मुद्दों के समाधान में भी भारत अग्रणी भूमिका निभा रहा है। इसके अलावा योग और आयुष को लोकप्रिय बनाने के लिए भारत WHO यानी वर्ल्ड हेल्थ ऑर्गेनाइजेशन के साथ मिलकर काम कर रहा है।
And the External Affairs Minister, Dr. S. Jaishankar, has said that on UN Day, as a founding member, India reaffirms its commitment to the United Nations. Dr. Jaishankar reiterated the importance of reformed multilateralism that reflects rebalancing, fairness and multipolarity. He said, non-permanent member of the UNSC, India will take a principled approach towards contemporary challenges. India will always be a constructive force in enhancing UN's effectiveness and reliability. The Union Home Minister Amit Shah inaugurated the campus of the Indian Institute of Technology, Jammu. The minister, who is on a 3-day visit to the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir, planted a sapling first in the campus of the institute. The Home Minister reviewed various development projects as well. Let's now take a look at the COVID-19 situation from across the country. The update is that the recovery of 16,479 patients in the last 24 hours has increased the cumulative tally of recovered patients to 3,35,48,605. And India's recovery rate stands at 98.17% as a result of that. The recovery rate, in fact, is currently at its highest peak since March of 2020, and sustained and collaborative efforts by the centre and the states and the union territories, they continue to the trend of less than 50,000 daily new cases that are being reported. This is for 119 consecutive days as of now. 15,906 new cases were reported in the last 24 hours. So the active cases, they account for less than 1% of the total cases, and presently this number is just as a percentage expressed as 0.51% of the country's total positive cases, which is the lowest since March of 2020. And the active caseload remains below 2 lakh. It's also presently at 1,72,594, and this is the lowest in 235 days. Testing capacity across the country continues to increase, and so the last 24 hours has seen a total of 13,40,158 tests being conducted. India has so far conducted 59.97 crore cumulative tests. Testing capacity, as we said, has been enhanced across the country, and the weekly positivity rate at 1.23% remains less than 2% for the last 30 days. The daily positivity rate reported is at 1.19%. The daily positivity rate has remained below 2% for the last 20 days. With the administration of 77,40,676 vaccine doses in the last 24 hours, India's COVID-19 vaccination coverage has surpassed 100 crore mark to reach 102.10 crore. So in the last 24 hours, in fact, 31,92,831 people got vaccinated, while 45,47,855 were given the second dose on Saturday. So the Union Health Secretary, the Health Ministry, I beg your pardon, they have said that the vaccination exercise as a tool to protect the most vulnerable population groups in the country from COVID-19 continues to be regularly reviewed and monitored at the highest level. The Union government is committed to accelerating the pace and expanding the scope of COVID-19 vaccination throughout the country as part of the nationwide vaccination drive. Government of India has been supporting the states and union territories by providing them COVID vaccines free of cost. More than 106.79 crore vaccine doses have been provided to states and union territories so far, and more than 12 crore are with them. That the balances, unutilized COVID vaccine doses, are still with the states and union territories, which remain to be administered. The centre has asked the states and union territories not to let their guard down against COVID-19 in view of the upcoming festive season. So in a letter, the Union Health Secretary, Rajesh Bhushan, has asked for strict enforcement of laid down guidelines for allowing allowing festivities in a cautious, in a safe and a COVID appropriate manner. No mass gathering should be allowed in areas identified as containment zones and in districts reporting more than 5% COVID-19 test confirmation rates, that is. He said necessary directions should be issued adequately in advance by the concerned state governments for practicing cautious taking precautions during the festivities, and gatherings that are allowed with advance permission and a limited number of people should be closely monitored, and in case of violations of COVID appropriate behavior, necessary enforcement and penal actions should be taken. The Health Secretary said that there should be strict adherence to limits on public gatherings, taking into account availability of space to ensure effective physical distancing. States and union territories need to continue diligent focus on the 5 pillars of COVID-19 management. These are track, treat, vaccinate and COVID appropriate behavior. In Kerala, as temples reopen across the state, devotees still resort to staying at home in a bid to avoid the spread of COVID-19. The ancient temples in the state, they have been witnessing a decline in devotee inflow, resulting in the crunch of donations for various development works in the temple premises. And these ancient temples in Kerala, including Kottayam, Vedagiri, they have been facing some sort of a crisis. The Indo-Tibetan Border Police is celebrating its 60th Raising Day today. Minister of State for Home Affairs Nityanand Rai took the salute at the ITBP parade. The force was raised in the aftermath of the 1962 Chinese aggression.
बिहार के निशान टोली के सामने से गुजरता निरीक्षण वाहन अभिवादन करते मुख्य अतिथि सेंट्रल फ्रंटियर के चपल
Prime Minister Narendra Modi tweeted, "From dense forests in Arunachal Pradesh to icy heights of Himalayas, our ITBP Himveers have answered the nation's call with utmost dedication. Their humanitarian work during times of disasters is noteworthy. Greetings to all ITBP personnel on their raising day. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh extended greetings and warm wishes to all ITBP personnel and their families on the raising day of the courageous force. Taking to Twitter, Rajnath Singh has lauded ITBP's dedication towards keeping India safe. He further said that the indomitable spirit and professionalism of this force is deeply appreciated and admired. Indian and US troops carried out joint yoga session at Buckner Physical Training Center at the joint base in Elmendorf Richardson in Anchorage. This is in Alaska in the United States. The Indian yoga instructors taught a total of 17 asanas, which include Surya Namaskar, to the troops. The U.S. envoy to North Korea will hold discussions with his South Korean counterpart amid stalled denuclearization talks and tension over Pyongyang's recent missile tests. His visit comes days after North Korea fired a new submarine-launched ballistic missile, which prompted criticism from Washington and calls for the return to talks. Kim, after the talks in Washington with South Korean and Japanese counterparts, urged North Korea to refrain from further provocations and engage in sustained and substantive dialogue. Time now to take a look at updates on COVID-19 from across the world. So far, more than 24 crore 41 lakh people have contracted COVID-19, and the number of recoveries stands above 22 crore 11 lakh globally. The virus has claimed over 49 lakh 59,000 lives worldwide. The US is the worst country from the virus, and the number of cases there have crossed 4 crore 62 lakh, and the death toll remains above 7 lakh 56,000. In the United Kingdom, Britons in northwestern England, they were keen to get the COVID-19 jabs on Saturday as new infections and deaths rose across the country, and a doctor said most cases were now among the young and unvaccinated people. The government figures showed that 44,985 new coronavirus cases were reported on Saturday. That's down from 49,298 on Friday. Prime Minister Boris Johnson said that a new COVID-19 lockdown is not on the cards, as advisors warned that acting early with lighter measures to cut rising case numbers would reduce the need for tougher, stricter restrictions later. The Johnson administration has said that there is no need yet to introduce a Plan B involving mask mandates, work from home orders and vaccine passports, though such measures could be introduced if more people do not come forward for vaccinations and booster shots. Russia has reported 1,075 COVID-19 deaths on Saturday, its fifth straight record high. Now, as the authorities there are preparing to shut workplaces countrywide and lock down the capital, a record 37,678 people, new infections were reported. Despite developing one of the world's first vaccines against COVID-19, Russia has vaccinated only about a third of its population, one of the lowest rates in Europe, and the head of Moscow's Regional Pandemics Union has said that more children were getting sick, including one case of an 8-month-old child which had to be taken to the hospital. President Vladimir Putin this week approved a nationwide workplace shutdown in the first week of November, and the capital Moscow will reimpose a partial lockdown from October 28, with only essential shops such as pharmacies and supermarkets allowed to remain open. In sports, the ICC's T-20 World Cup will be set alight today with the arch rivals India and Pakistan in a big-ticket encounter. India is all set to play against Pakistan in its first Super 12 clash at the T20 World Cup in Dubai. India has never lost a match against Pakistan in T20 World Cups, and this time it would be more special for Team India as skipper Virat Kohli will play his last T20 World Cup as captain. Captain Virat Kohli said that Pakistan is a strong team and Team India is all set to give their 100% in the match.
The wait for ICC Cricket T20 World Cup has finally ended and Super 12 teams are all set to battle it out for the coveted trophy. With the onset of T20 Cricket World Cup, which is already delayed by a year due to the COVID-19 pandemic, fans are now waiting with bated breath to witness the biggest clash of T20 World Cup between arch rivals India and Pakistan that is scheduled to take place on 24th of October in Dubai. India's team composition looks strong, whereas if you look at the previous records, then Pakistan has never been able to beat India at T20 World Cups. India and Pakistan have clashed 5 times in the T20 World Cup so far, and India has always maintained its winning streak. If we talk about the overall matches, then also India is ahead of the neighbouring country. In total 8 matches played, Pakistan won the only match while India won 7 matches. However, if we talk about the T20 World Cup this time, then also not only this match against Team Pakistan, but for Virat Kohli, all the matches are equally important as this would be his last innings as T20 captain at the T20 Cricket World Cup. Ahead of India's match against Pakistan, Virat Kohli exuberated confidence on his teammates in the pre-match press conference.
Hardik presently, with his physical condition, is getting better in terms of being prepared to bowl at least 2 overs for us. What he brings at that number 6 spot is something that he just can't create overnight. And hence, I was always in favor of backing him in Australia as a batter purely, and we saw what he did in the T20 series and how he can take the game away from the opposition when he's in full flow. For us, that is way more valuable than forcing him to do something that he's not ready for at the moment. But he is motivated and he's very keen to start giving us a couple of overs, and when that happens, obviously the balance becomes even better. But we are pretty confident how we are heading into the start of this tournament.
While speaking on its match against Team Pakistan, Captain Virat Kohli said that Pakistan is a strong team and Team India is all set to give their 100% in the match against them.
Pakistan team मेरे हिसाब से काफी स्ट्रॉन्ग टीम है और हमेशा स्ट्रॉन्ग टीम रही है, और उनके अगेंस्ट आपको हमेशा अपनी बेस्ट क्रिकेट खेलनी पड़ती है क्योंकि उनके पास बहुत टैलेंट है और ऐसे प्लेयर्स हैं जो गेम को चेंज कर सकते हैं कभी भी, और ऐसी टीमों के अगेंस्ट आपको अपना बेस्ट प्लान लेके आना पड़ता है सामने और मेक श्योर करना है कि एग्जीक्यूशन हमारी अच्छी हो और हम कंसिस्टेंटली जितना खेलेंगे उतना हम प्रेशर बना पाएंगे ऑपोजिशन पे, तो हमें डेफिनेटली अपनी गेम लेके आना पड़ेगा.
One of the biggest tournament of cricket, the T20 Cricket World Cup, would be even more challenging this time for the players as they would have to remain in the bio bubble, which may affect them mentally, but on the field they have to remain in form and perform to their best of level. And for Team India, it's more challenging for Captain Virat Kohli as he would vouch to win all the matches under his captaincy in T20 format. Sports Desk, DD India.
And that's all the news we have for the moment. Thank you very much for being with us. Namaskar.